an hour was over. You can't be chatting when you're expecting a show to start. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's edition of our AM Minnesota program. It is indeed a pleasure to have with us this morning a couple of very popular gentlemen here in the city of Faribault. We got the Fire Chief Dusty Dienst. We've got Rice County Sheriff Troy Dunn in studio this morning. They're going to give us some holiday season safety tips, and we're looking forward to that. So Merry Christmas to you, Troy.
Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yeah,
and
Merry
happy
Christmas.
Belated.
Well, thank you.
It was so busy yesterday, couldn't get in on the phone lines to wish you happy birthday because they were just lit up, I heard. So.
No, that's not the case. Not the case at all. Did get a lot of texts and a lot of Facebook, messages. That was very cool.
Good. Good.
Is that why your phone's not cooperating with you this morning?
That
Did
might
you
be.
overwork
It's
it yesterday?
freezing up all the time, yeah. Well, I had to charge it like 3 times yesterday.
Oh.
So that must have something to do with it, huh?
Yeah, you better do a full reset on that.
That's a very good idea. Is that a safety tip?
It is, yes.
You really should have a phone with you, right, when you're traveling?
Definitely. Yeah. Just don't be on it all the time when you're traveling, especially don't be texting and driving. But yes, have it with you so you can call 911 if you need roadside assistance or you would witness a crash or anything like that. So, and who knows, by the end of the day we might have some slushy snow out there by the sounds of it. So.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to that or not?
I'd love to see some snow for Christmas, but I don't wish for it for the work side of things because obviously it becomes a little busier then.
Yeah. In fact, there was a recommendation by MnDOT this morning. I thought it was excellent. There's the move over law for when law enforcement officials and fire, the lights are on, tow
yep. All public safety and tow trucks, yep.
But people don't think about it when the workers are out there moving around working without, they don't have the lighted vehicles.
Sure.
Move over if possible. And
yes, if there's room, definitely. Yeah, that's a great tip.
Yeah, I thought so too from MnDOT. Dusty, the biggest one, you were talking about dry Christmas trees. People seem to get their trees pretty early these days.
Yeah, you see them Thanksgiving time. You see them, and who knows how long they've been cut before they show up here. They're on a truck at least a day or two before they get here. So that is a concern this time of the year is keeping up on the watering. You're supposed to water them every single day if possible.
Yeah.
I just watched a video here not too long ago of the difference between a watered tree and a unwatered tree, and they couldn't even get the watered tree to burn. And in a minute, 10 seconds, the dry tree, there was nothing left to burn. It was gone. It was like a little mini bomb. They go up fast.
When they're dry.
Yep.
But they couldn't get the water tree to burn at all.
No, there was a flame flickering in there. They lit them at the same time, and it never did anything.
Well,
the video ended, and the other tree was gone, and it never even lit up. So I wouldn't, don't try that obviously, but it was a video to show the difference between not watering a tree and watering your tree.
Yeah, yeah. I'm glad you added that in there, not to try this at home. So we're going to visit with these gentlemen about some safety tips here over the holidays. We're going to get our opening market report here shortly, and then we want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas too.
Troy will before me. Just want to point that out.
Yeah. You guys aren't that far apart, are you?
I don't think so.
I think he just graduated high school 5 years ago.
Oh my word!
25. So.
Thanks, Troy.
That might be something. Because you got some kids that played on the varsity football team, right?
Mm-hmm. One.
Yep. So that'd be a tough chore to do when you're 25. Wouldn't it, Troy?
It would be. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, we're here to talk about safety during the holidays. Originally, we were called Dusty, and then I know you got a hold of us and said, we'd kind of like to do some driving safety tips too. So thanks for doing that, Troy.
Yeah.
Certainly appreciate it.
Well, the Christmas holiday season and New Year's is the second deadliest time on the roadways for holidays, second to the Thanksgiving time.
Because it's the most traveled, I would guess.
Exactly. A lot of travel out there, people getting together and celebrating in different ways, and a lot of family get-togethers, and they get out the eggnog and other adult beverages and get together with friends that they haven't seen, going off to college. So we just ask everybody to plan a sober ride again. I know you've heard it a million times from us before, but we still need to keep hearing that. and you know, in the past couple weeks we've had some pretty bad crashes in the southern Minnesota area, in Dodge Center and Lakeville, with youth and not wearing seatbelts. So we need to remind everybody to wear those seatbelts.
Yeah, they were both in pickups, not wearing seatbelts.
Yeah, and I know we had a fatality south of Owatonna yesterday on the interstate as well. So, you know, those are in the cars for your benefit, and we don't want to be delivering a sad message to your family because you didn't have a seatbelt on, or because you were driving impaired, or anything like that. So please, 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 you know, make a plan if you're going to go out and drink and have a sober ride. Call a cab, have a friend, whatever it may be. And you know, I don't know if anybody's seen the holiday PSA we did, but
I put it on our website.
I actually offered it to you know, to the elf, Peppermint Sticks the elf, that we could have Rudy take him home if we actually had to, but we got a cab for him. So
Great.
I'm sure you can reiterate.
Yeah, I saw the video, and I'm very proud of our police chiefs and our sheriff for doing that. Andy Bolin, it was fun to talk with him about it, and that won't go away anytime soon.
No, that baby's up there forever now.
Kind of like the turkey suit, you know. So yeah, we just got together with the Chemical Health Coalition and TZD and put this together, and so hopefully it'll make, you know, it's. My hope is that it's entertaining enough that people watch it, but yet they'll hear the message that we have in there, and to have that ride. And if it saves a life or two, or saves people from getting a DWI, then it was successful for us, and we had fun doing it. So, and now we know what we'll do when we're, you know, retired. We'll be at the local theater doing little skits, I guess.
When you're rocking in the nursing home chair, you put that in there and watch it when you're in your chair. That was me in my younger days.
Yeah.
So Dusty, other than dry Christmas trees, I know we had talked earlier, you said turn off those Christmas lights when you go to bed at night.
Yeah, you know, when it comes to Christmas trees or electrical fires, or at this time of the year, even though it's not real cold out yet, but heating fires, if the things aren't running, they're not going to cause a fire. So when we talk about heating and electrical, 1 in every 3 Christmas tree fires are caused by electrical or space heaters too close to the tree or to drapes. Sure. So it's not necessarily the appliance itself. It's coupled with something else going on, like putting it too close to something that's flammable. So, you know, keep good clearances, 12 inches. Keep things 12 inches away from combustible materials, like your tree, watered or not. We're not going to, you know, test the test that says a watered tree won't burn. Keep things away from it. Throw away Christmas lights that you see copper wire, they're frayed, they don't work. You got to wiggle or shake them to make them work. It's not worth the chance. They're not real expensive. Throw them away and get some good ones.
Yeah, but you do recommend shutting them off when you go to bed at night.
Yeah, they make, you know, timers that are real cheap, so if it's hard to get to the outlet or something along that line, it's not an excuse. Just get a timer, set it, have it go off when you're not able to be around and observe it going on, because they are very explosive. You won't have much time. You know, if that tree does catch on fire, you're not going to be able to unplug it. It's too late then.
Having said that, though, Troy, Lee Scholander, the Kenyon police chief, recommended this morning that, you know, you have some lights on when you're gone so that people don't know that you're gone.
Right. No, Lee gave some great tips this morning. I heard that, and yeah, don't leave your gift boxes outside, those kind of things, and then don't. The social media thing is huge. Don't let people know that you're going to be out of town, because other people are watching that. You don't know who's sharing what with them. And the other thing, Dusty, I was thinking of is popular this time of year is candles, and people need to remember to blow their candles out. I think a lot of times they forget that.
There's a lot of fires here in town that have been caused by candles over the years.
Yeah, candles are not my favorite thing. And candles themselves typically are safe, and here again it's like any of the other things we talked about, is it's when they're misused or put too close to something that will combust. So, you know, keep those 12 inches away from any, if it's on an end table, keep it away from the couch or the lampshade. You know, it's not necessarily, the candle itself is pretty innocent. It's just when it's not used correctly or put in the wrong spot.
There are some towns, I believe, that have ordinances that don't even allow churches to have candles. I mean,
Yeah.
real candles.
I know I get the call every year from a couple of the churches whether they're okay to do it, and I do say it's okay. Typically they're a commercial building, they are sprinkled. What I do say is only have them lit when somebody's around. That can make all the difference in the world. Is if somebody's there to see something happen, you can grab an extinguisher or you can get out of the building. It's when you aren't paying attention or you leave them on and you go to bed, that's when we have problems, because by the time you wake up or you don't see it go on, now you're struggling to get out of that house.
Not all our churches are sprinkled, though.
Not all of them, but some of them are.
So that's something to keep in mind.
Yep.
Any other ideas, Troy?
On fire safety or what?
No, I didn't.
Oh. Well, I was just going to say this has not been a good year for ice on the lakes and rivers.
No, stay off the lakes.
I would recommend people stay off. I know that there were some people out fishing yesterday and on Monday. But if you're going to be out there, I hope they're wearing a float coat. I hope they have their little spikes. But with even this little bit of ice, you know, if it's breaking on the edges, it might be difficult to even, you know, support pulling themselves back up. So, you know, let's get a little more cold weather and a good ice out there before we really hit it. Obviously, don't take your four-wheelers out there yet, and we just obviously want people to be safe. And you know, it's going to take us some time to get our specialized equipment out there and put our suits on. So time is of the essence when you go through the ice. So better be wearing a life jacket or a float coat underneath.
You're talking about
winter
these
stuff.
warm temperatures into the new year, Troy.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, you know, what's up with this year, but I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of snow probably come late January and February, but yeah, this is just weird weather right now, but be safe out there when the ice, you know, this ice changing to snow and everything, people slipping, getting a lot of medicals. I know we've had a few friends and business people around town that have taken some spills, and so be cautious. Get those ice cleats if you know it's going to be icy out there. Get sand or salt out on your sidewalks and driveways, and yeah, we want everybody to have a safe and healthy and happy holiday here.
The UL listed plug-ins with the multi-plugs. These are UL listed. That's what you want to look for.
Yep.
But I believe you told us one time that you don't necessarily have to plug into every plug-in in the strip.
Correct. They are rated for a certain amount of amperage to go through them. So just because there's 5 or 10 outlets on there, if you plug in a vacuum cleaner to that, that's a little bit different than plugging in a little LED light. So yep, there's a lot of places to plug into them. That's where we see the abuse of those things, is that there's a lot of spots. They're very handy to plug into. That little reset button on there, that is not a overload current, or a current overload device. It's not going to trip just because there's too much going through it. They are surge protectors. They're supposed to protect the device that's plugged into them, not the other way around. So definitely, and I've seen it before, surge protectors plugged into surge protectors because of lack of outlets or the need for a lot of areas to plug in, and you can overload those things. And you can also overload the wiring in the wall because the draw of electricity to that surge protector is more than that wire is made to be. Now, the fuse of the breaker should trip when that happens, but just don't take that chance. If it looks like a fire hazard, is what I like to say, kind of like a room next to us that we just looked at. If it looks like a fire hazard to you, it probably is. So pay attention to that. Try to plan for how you're going to plug things in, and try to come up with a way to not make it look like a bird's nest and have wires and plug-ins everywhere.
Right. Which brings me, now this isn't necessarily holiday related, but this is a safety tip. For example, where do you suggest people store paint?
Paint should be, if it's latex paint, that's not really an issue. If it's oil-based or flammable, combustible, it should be not in your house if possible, and if you do have to keep it in your house, it should be in a fully sheetrock room. One thing that we see a lot of is storage under the stairway.
Yeah.
That's not recommended at all, because if that is where the fire starts and that is not a sheetrock, if the bottom of those steps are not sheetrock, well, those stairs are probably your main way out, and if they burn up, now you're going out your secondary exit. So
you would recommend absolutely no storage under the stairs?
well, not of flammable materials or combustible materials.
Okay.
And if you must, I think it's new code now in a new home that they have to sheetrock the undersides of standings and landings, like in a split level. They have to be sheetrocked just for this reason.
Huh.
If the fire starts underneath there, if you can get out, you're all walking on top of that fire, which means you could possibly fall into that. And we've seen that a couple times.
Where people have been going up the stairs and they collapse.
Or we've gone into a fire and found out that we crawled in right on top of the fire. It was underneath us in the crawl space or in the area underneath the stairs, and it's scary.
Seems probably true even in the attic.
Yep. The attic, there's no smoke detectors up there. There's nothing telling you that, giving you prior warning that something's going on until somebody driving by calls it in, typically, in an attic. It's usually an attic fire is called in by somebody driving by.
So remember, don't put combustibles in the attic either.
Correct. Keep them outside.
Good suggestion, Troy.
Yeah, I think under the stairs sounds like a good place for Dusty's wine cellar, because then that will not combust.
That's correct.
You have wine cellar?
No. Pepsi, maybe.
Well, I didn't know.
That's not flammable either, though.
Nope.
There's nothing wrong with wine as long as you don't drive and drink too much.
Exactly. Yep. Some doctors say it's healthy to have a glass of wine a day.
That's right, for your
especially
heart.
some yeah. So.
It's good for your heart. You got some more driving tips for me, Troy?
Well, the driving tips is just in inclement weather, slow down, give people plenty of space. Like we said earlier, move over for anybody that's on the side of the road. Even if somebody's pulled over, maybe switching drivers or fixing a tire, whatever it may be, give them space. Most of our crashes, Gordy, are because of speed, inattentive driving, driving too fast for the conditions, or sleep deprivation, or alcohol or drug impairment. So, those are all preventable things. Those are things that we can control. So it still comes down to people making good choices when they're out there on the roadway. And everybody's in a hurry to get somewhere. Give yourself extra time if the roads are going to be slippery. I know tonight we're heading up to Northfield to meet some friends, and if it's bad weather, I'm going to leave 15 minutes earlier, so in case we run across something. Especially me and my job, I tend to run into things no matter where I'm going, so I might have to stop and help, but
it's uncanny. It's always in the area.
It follows
Yeah,
it.
if you know Troy's going there, you might want to stay away. You might not be part of something bad.
Some doctors say I can't come north of County Road 8 because there's gonna be a crash or a heart attack or something like that. So when certain doctors are working at Northfield Hospital, they say, Sheriff, stay south of County 8, please. So.
Which reminds me, you have those defibrillators in all the vehicles.
We
all
do.
the
Yes. Yeah. Yep. And we actually had a save here up by Lonsdale back in July, and planning our all staff meeting here in January, and so I'm going to be giving a life-saving award to a deputy that used a defibrillator, and the person's alive and well today. So, and then we had one in Warsaw as well that was saved, and where two bystanders started CPR, and then the sergeant got there and defibrillated, and she was conscious as they were loading her on the helicopter, and she was in full arrest, and so we have two success stories that we'll be letting congratulating people for the job they did, and we're just fortunate to have those items in our squads, along with the naloxone now too. So
You obviously have that, the fire.
Yeah, we have AEDs. We actually have just ordered the other day. We had 3 very, very generous donations to the fire department, and we are getting a Lucas device, which is the mechanical CPR. We've seen them on there. So we have an older auto pulse that we will be replacing with a Lucas, all by donated from generous community members. So that's awesome.
That's a good suggestion too, folks. We're coming to the end of the year, charitable giving, donations. You're thinking of your tax, what you might have to pay or not pay in terms of taxes. There's nothing wrong with donating to the sheriff's department or the fire department or the government or
Right.
organizations like that.
I know that the Faribault Police Department and the Rice County Sheriff's Office just got 2 donations for vests and equipment for 2 of our canines, one of Faribault's and one for the Sheriff's Office from ABC Bus Company here in Faribault. So again, thank you to them for that generous donation, and our newest canine tank will be fitted with a vest here shortly, and then we're going to go back out there and let them do a demo for them. So very, very generous, and we appreciate that, because obviously our budgets are tougher to get everything that we want and need every year. So when we have generous people or businesses that choose to give, we really appreciate that. It makes a difference to us, so thank you.
No, they're doing some remodeling work at the fire hall, right?
Yep, just delivered the contract to Metcon. They're the company that's going to be doing that. Yeah, we're going to, just after the 1st, we're going to start moving down to the basement, because we're going to do it in 2 levels, because we can't shut down the fire department.
Of course.
So we're going to be all snuggled downstairs and working all in one area while they're remodeling the upstairs. So that'll start ramping up in January.
And then you'll be back upstairs.
Yep, and then we'll move upstairs, and then they'll finish with the basement, which has less work.
So it'll be done by the spring, you're thinking?
No, I think that June 1st is what we're shooting for getting the upstairs done. So, talking with Metcon that they would like to be done sooner than that, and we are all about that too. One other thing I wanted to get, I know we're getting close here, but I overheard that Troy was cooking the other day, cooked you some stuff. So that brings up another safety tip. We always mess around with kids when we talk about testing smoke detectors, and just do that by letting their fathers cook, because they typically burn things. But it's another safety tip for the holidays, because the next couple days are full of gatherings and people cooking and running every which way and doing things. So I just caution people when they're cooking to pay attention to when they are cooking. Here again, we're talking about having a device in your house that's putting off a lot of heat and flame, and that's when things can go haywire. So make sure you keep an eye on your cooking things. You don't have to stand there and watch it the whole time, but you got to check in and out every once in a while.
And you were suggesting, I believe last time during Fire Safety Week, and I was a sinner in this area, I had my fire extinguisher right next to my stove. You said, don't have it right next to your stove.
No, put it near an exit, because if that stove's on fire, that's the last place we don't want you going towards that, and you may not even be able to get to the extinguisher there, and that's a pretty common place for people to put it.
Yeah, how dumb was that of me? When I really thought about that, I thought, it really wasn't very bright, because I'd have to reach over the flames to get to the, if there was a fire.
So put it by an exit. The first thing you should think of when you see a fire is getting out. And then, if it was small enough and you think you can attempt to go back with your extinguisher and maybe knock it down, then at least the fire's in front of you and not trapping you in the kitchen. So, put it in an exit. Put it, if you have like attached garage, it's a great place. Put it just outside the house in the garage.
I don't know if you heard the story the other day. A guy in Austin had his, he had a license to carry a gun. His gun and some other items were stolen from his vehicle because he didn't have his vehicle locked.
Oh, yeah.
It seems kind of common sense to lock your vehicle.
Yeah, it is. It is. So don't leave, or get Christmas gifts or presents stolen from people's vehicles because they're leaving their things out. Don't leave cell phones out. Don't leave, there's so many things that you don't leave in plain view, because you're just asking for somebody to come by and see that, break a window, pop a door, and take it. So put it in your trunk. That's probably the safest place to leave it.
So the other day when I went in the store, my phone's charging. I should have taken the phone with me into the store, not let it sit in the charger, even though I locked my vehicle.
Correct.
Or put it out of sight if you really need that charged up. Just, you can hook to the charger, slide under the seat. Like Troy said, if you can't see it, they don't know that it's there.
Yeah,
that strobe light behind you is getting me.
the little blue light, that shows it's charging would be on, and they'd be able to see that, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
good
so then that center console might be a thing, but yeah, if you really have to charge it, otherwise I just take it with me. I just don't want to leave that stuff in there.
That's a good idea. Only got about a minute left. Anything I didn't touch on, Troy, that you wanted to get the word out on?
No, I think we covered everything that I wanted to touch on today. I didn't want to bore people with too many statistics, but just we don't want anybody to be a statistic this holiday. So be safe out there. wish everybody a happy and safe Christmas and New Year. And you know, obviously, we don't want to see our staff out there having to do a house fire or a personal injury crash or something else, or worse yet, a fatality. So, so many of these incidents are preventable, and it's just by using common sense and being smart and taking the time to remember the safety things. So.
And people seem to be getting the message in terms of New Year's Eve being sober. There's a lot of sober cab programs and stuff around.
Yeah, that's always been one of those holidays that people have been very cautious about. We hope people continue to do that, but they should do that every night that they go out and be responsible all the time, so they can live a long, happy life like you, Gordy.
Have a designated driver. That's a nice little dig there, Troy. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thanks, Dusty. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
And all the firefighters, Merry Christmas to you, and all the folks over at the Sheriff's Department.
Thanks,
Troy.
Gordy. Yep, appreciate it.
Merry Christmas to all of our public safety folks there. You know, on Christmas Day, they'll be working. They're working all the time. That concludes today's edition of AM Minnesota. Merry Christmas, everyone. You're in tune to KDHL AM Faribault.